What is something ancient that only an internet veteran can remember? Back in the year 2000, a guy calling himself John Titor and describing himself as a time traveler from the year 2036 showed up on a couple of UFO conspiracy of the more innocent The 10 Files style kind, not the hardcore political kind we have now, forums, and had this elaborate backstory about how he traveled through time, the sore post-apocalyptic state of the world in 2036, and so on. His reasoning for traveling through time was to retrieve an old IBM portable computer from the year 1975, because he needed it to debug legacy software that they were still running in 2036. He said he worked for a government time travel agency, but given the fact that he was sent through time to get old hardware from the 70s to debug currently running software, my guess is that he really worked for the IRS. Also, his time machine was a specialized temporal displacement device housed in the back of a converted 1966 Chevrolet Corvette. Because of course it was. Either way, the backstory was richly detailed, very cool, and definitely better written than anything Hollywood usually puts out, even if it was likely a total hoax. I thoroughly enjoyed going down the rabbit hole back then. And before someone helpfully points out that it's still used for exchanging binaries. Well, yeah, we know. But that's like saying the town hall is still active because someone's using the building as a storage facility. As far as its original and primary intended purpose, i.e., news and discussion, goes, it's been all but dead for a long time. Usenet was the first thing, other than email, that I ever used on the internet circa 1993, before I even knew the web existed. But even then, in hindsight, things were rapidly changing, and the focus was rapidly shifting to the web. I think the last time I posted anything non-binaries related would have been sporadic technical posts circa the late 2000s. And even then, it felt somewhat anachronistic, and was via Google Groups, which IRC was blurring the line between Usenet and their own service. I think they used to put smut in everything on P2P stuff like LimeWire. If you wanted anything free, porn came with it. Like you download a CD after 3 weeks of dial-up speed, and finally get your soundtrack with an unexpected gift folder of girl pissing on confused ostrich. You think, wow, this doesn't fit the music at all, whoever uploaded this is not a nice person. The internet is nothing like it was in the beginning. There seemed to be more diversity in websites and sites to visit. There's a YouTube video that speaks on the dead internet theory, that the current internet is nothing compared to the vastness of the glory days. On average, how many websites do we visit on a regular basis? 4 or 5 different websites. FB, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube. I recently came upon a post parodying Leave Britney Alone, and not a single person in the comments knew the reference. That sure made me feel old. Waiting for a Flash website to load on cheap dial-up. Amazon only selling books, movies, and music. Websites that functioned entirely as chat rooms. Rocketeer, Webring spinning mailboxes, Alta Vista hosting your own GameAirc web server at home, images that literally loads from top to bottom so slowly you get excited to see how the final image looks, the screeching sound of modems getting disconnected when someone else picked up the phone around the house, thinking, the internet is really fast today. Until realizing the download is saying 350 B per second, not 3.4 KB per second, downloading stuff in R01, R02, R03 files, due to the constant instability of the connection. So files were split up into smaller chunks using IRC. People generally being friendly, intelligent chat conversation was common, not a rarity, the internet being a place for curiosity. Not mindless scrolling through easily consumable 5-second stamp-sized vertical horizontal back to vertical videos. I hate the internet of 2022. The internet was free. I am not talking about a free trial. In the early days of the internet, you did not need a username or password. You just called the local access number, and you were online. There were no domain names. In the beginning, you had to remember IP addresses the same way you remembered phone numbers. There were no .com domain names, because they had not yet been invented. The first paid ISP was called The World. I grew up in Massachusetts, USA, and so we had internet here, well before most of the planet. My running joke is I have always been here. Your parents that yelled, "Don't touch the TV very because you might break it," are now asking you yet again how to get to their games. See? Games, actually, learning binary and computer science class, and being one of the few universities to have a computer and/or computer science program, still being able to distinctly hear the sound of the modem go forget around boys and girls. Let me tell you about the olden times before www, JavaScript, Gusout HTML, existed. Our screens were colorful. They were green and black. Actually, remembering when emoticons, that no one knew how to pronounce, were invented, and why there was equals etc. in your writing and needing a cheat sheet to decode what all of these meant. Having and needing screensavers so your monitor wouldn't fry and ghost one image on top of everything else, being able to and seriously considering buying the domain names app.com, nbc.com, cbs.com, coca-cola.com, disney.com etc. because none of those companies had websites yet. Still regret that I didn't do that. We were blown away by the realistic quality of photos, and printing them out to keep and share them with our friends. Having a counter on your AngelFire and/or GeoCities website to see how many people had visited your page, and refreshing your page to see the number go up. Being able to get your first and last name on this new invention called webmail because no one else had taken it yet. Choosing the colors of your website by letter number combinations. The blue screen of death actually was the blue screen of death, using birds on a wire to break up your page, at the beginning of your page, and at the end of your page. Having website under construction pages decorating your website with spinning animated GIFs because you could. Running out of stuff to do, look at and logging off because you were just, finished with the internet for the day. Back then it was like a video game. You might come home and decide to put in a couple hours today. Tomorrow you might not even think about it. Now it's always there. Always on. Always something new. We have invented the perfect hamster wheel for humans, and it's basically a living nightmare. Using Kermit, you download text files. Surfing the text-based internet using links. Upgrading to 25k baud from 300 or 1200 baud and thinking it's fast until 56k came out. Buying a computer magazine to get a basic program that you have to type into your machine and save on a cassette. Much later getting on the phone and arguing with the AOL rep about getting charged for the service after you clearly cancelled it before the deadline for the free month was up. Late to the party, but does anybody still remember the $1 Million website? For those not in the know, it was a website with 1 million pixels, and you could buy a number of pixels to put your ad on it, each pixel costing $1. It made huge waves because it made the owners $1 million. Of course, nobody visited the website more than once, because it was just ads. Bidding a certain number of hours to browse the internet for free via an AOL floppy disk that came taped to a computer magazine. This piece of caller ID software on my Windows 98 PC that showed when someone was trying to phone the house, so I could decide whether or not to disconnect the internet and answer. Miss. Downloading BMP files of Pokemon on the school computers, copying them onto floppy disks, and taking them home to look at them because we didn't have internet at home yet, plus I thought BMPs of Pokemon were the shit. My middle school's computer lab upgrading from Apple computers with monochrome monitors to a set of G3 Macs. Those hockey puck mice and translucent black keys were a dream to use at first. Bonzi Buddy, my first piece of destructive malware. Hey. Do you want to feel so energetic? Try Powerthirst. Energy drinks for people who need gratuitous amounts of energy. With all new flavors like chocolate. Chocolate energy, it's like adding chocolate to an electrical storm. Sound the alarm, you're going to be uncomfortably energetic. What's that? You want strawberry? Well, how about raspberry? Made with lightning, real lightning. Sports. You'll be good at them. It's an energy drink for men. Energy. These aren't your dad's puns, these are energy puns. Turbo pumps. Science, energy, electrolytes, tube lights, power lights, more lights than your body has room for. You'll be so fast, Mother Nature will be like, slew downwind. And you'll be like, fuck you. And kick her in the face with your energy legs. You'll have so much energy. Energy. Just running all the time. Power running, power lifting, power sweeping, power dating, power eating, power laughing, power spawning babies. You'll have so many babies. 400 babies. Give chocolate to your babies and they'll be good at sports. Make your babies run abnormally fast. They'll run as fast as Kenyans. People will watch them running and think they're Kenyans. They'll race as fast as Kenyans, in a race with actual Kenyans, and it'll be a tie, and they'll get deported back to Kenya. Hey, go with the sure thing. Don't gamble on your energy, snake eyes. Try Powerthirst, the energy that will make you, sports, I hate how the internet has become default information source. Real history is being rewritten by copy pasta. This is the accessibility cascade in full effect. Unchecked information is readily accepted because it's easy to access. I'm pre-internet, and have so many face-palm moments reading massive misinterpretation of facts and figures, spelling of incorrect phonetics, minor details of historical events which misrepresent the protagonist. Even our local church has a fake news plaque, quoting an event that never occurred, just because some stonemason copied the words from an online school paper. I was in a sustainable manufacturing lecture last week where figures were quoted 100x greater than fact, because the decimal point got left out in the Gov page they copied from. If it's going on in lots of decision makers' offices, lazy sourcing could really fuck the world up. That one feeling you get exploring a whole new world, and enjoying it with like 90% of the internet when a Valve game releases, and when God first came to Steam. Especially God. Even how the internet looked back then backed up this feeling. It's a feeling I'm sure all of you experienced back then and understand what I mean without more explanation needed, and sadly no one this generation seems to feel.